and good evening. I put together for you guys a tutorial for the first marking period term paper. And what I wanted to do is use this in conjunction with one of your lessons. So what I've done is I've put together a series of instructions for you that include an outline as to how the paper is going to look, as well as all the different particulars that go with the marking period term paper. This is going to take you some time, especially for our noobs. I know you guys have never written something for me before, so there's going to be a lot to digest. The way I look at a marking period term paper is it's like a recipe. You need to follow all the instructions very, very explicitly. And if you do so, you're going to do just fine. We do have on the syllabus a due date if you want to send me a rough draft. I think we're going to be back in session by the time that rough draft due date has come. But if we're not, then we're going to just do everything via email. So we can go ahead and move in that direction. The first thing I want to do is explain to you the basic format and flow of what I expect in a term paper. And you're going to find that in the email. It's called How to Write a Term Paper. There's some instructions. It starts out with a cover page. You need to use the cover page exactly like I have written it. Type, font, the whole bit. Everything has to look exactly as you see it. There's instructions as to putting in page numbers. Your margins have to be 1 inch. Your type needs to be the New Times Roman, 12 point. Everything is double spaced. I don't accept handwritten term papers, so you'll need to print things up. If you don't have access to a computer, I think all of you do, but if you don't, or if you have a problem, you're going to need to just speak with me about that. I also have samples of what quotations look like in the paper, small quotations and large ones. One of the big things that you will need to provide is a bibliography. Every paper that I ask you to produce will require 4 sources. The Bible is not a source, nor is the dictionary. I'd like to see you use at least 2 books and then 2 internet sources of your choice. We have some sources noted in the syllabus, so I have 3 internet sources, which would be more than sufficient for any of the papers that I assign to you. So right there is your starting point for some sources. But those instructions that are going to be in the email that will follow with this video are meant to be followed very, very closely. I'm also sending you a sample cover page in that, and I'm also sending you a sample paper, one that was done by a student a couple of years ago, and it's exactly what your paper needs to look like with the headings, the margins, the type, and everything. So you're going to have a template to follow that will give you everything that you need. But the important thing is that the paper it's 4 pages long. That does not include your cover page. That does not include your bibliography. It needs to be a minimum of 4 pages, and it needs to follow these basic instructions. And now I'm going to give you the second part to this. The term paper that you're going to write for me is really a takeoff on the assignment you just had for the reading in Luke's Gospel, and it'll revolve around temptations. And all the papers need to look exactly the same. Okay, you're not getting creative with me here. I want to teach you academic writing and a format to follow. And once you get into the habit of this, you should be proficient by the time you graduate from my class to go off to college and write a very substantial term paper. So what this will involve is you're going to write about the temptation of Christ and what happened in Luke's Gospel. You're going to give me, first off, an introductory paragraph. This is not to get into details about things. You're explaining to me what the paper is about. And you open it with a sentence, something to the effect that every one of us, let me try it again. Every person engages some form of temptation, or all people are tempted at one point in time or another. This is a common problem that people face. And this paper will explore how we could follow Christ's example and overcome temptations in our own life. And so that would be some examples of what this could look like. So you're going to have an introductory paragraph, 3 to 4 sentences telling me what the paper is going to be about. The second paragraph is going to be what I call a synthetic definition of a topic. By synthetic, I mean it's a combination of ideas coming together. You could use the dictionary. I've given you two verses in the instructions, one from Corinthians and one from James, to help you to develop a definition of temptation. So you could analyze this. You could use other sources. This is a good time to do some research and look at some books. And so a temptation, you're going to need to give me a basic definition of what is a temptation. And that'll be about 4 or 5 sentences. And then your next paragraph, paragraph number 3, I want you to describe the temptation, the first temptation Jesus endured. And then explain what did Jesus do in response to that temptation. How did he react? Give me some observations. Your next paragraph is going to be the second temptation of Christ. What was the temptation? How did Jesus respond? And then you'll have the third paragraph, same thing. Third temptation, how did Jesus respond? That'll be paragraph number 5. For paragraph number 6, you bridge into application. And what you would open up with paragraph number 6 is, in light of how Jesus faced these temptations, we could glean a variety of responses. And then you'll go through and explain those responses. And I need a short list in that 6th paragraph about how we can follow Christ's example when we are struggling with temptation ourselves. And then finally, your 7th paragraph will be the conclusion. You're going to summarize your findings and the entire paper in about 3 or 4 sentences, and then that's it. It's over with. So it's a 7-paragraph paper, 4 pages, but you're going to need to include in the back of that a bibliography. Bear in mind, the Bible is not one of your sources. You are working from the Bible, but that is not a research source, nor is a dictionary. So you need to be looking at 2 books and 2 online resources in your bibliography, and you need to put something together that follows the format I give you in the notes. So this is basically what we need to do here. I'm going to give you a couple of very huge pet peeves of mine. Number 1, you always write when you're describing something that happened in the past tense. So your writing needs to be clean. All of your description of what happened in the account with Jesus needs to be written in the past tense. The second thing with academic writing, you never use first and second person pronouns. I, me, my, you. Those do not include this. Okay, you always write in the third person. This is not about an opinion. Well, I feel this way, or you should understand this. Don't use that kind of language. You're going to lose a lot of points if you do. You need to write in the third person. So that is how academic writing is supposed to be presented. I can give you some illustrations of this in class, but I'm a real stickler with this stuff. Punctuation is going to count. Everything counts. Your grade is going to consist of 70% content and 30% grammar, which means you could do a fantastic job with your content and really hit the nail on the head, but if you screw up with the grammar, the best you're going to get is a 70. So you really need to be paying attention to the grammatical structure of this paper just the same. So what we have going on here is really these 2 things simultaneously. Hopefully we'll have some time to talk about this more in class, where I could answer and field your questions and give you a little bit more insight as to what this is supposed to look like. Finally, I'm also going to include a link in the email that I'm sending to all of you. It is a tutorial on writing term papers. The guy is about 100,000 years old. He's older than dirt. He's older than me, okay? That's how old he is, right? He's a professor from some school out in the Midwest. But he gives a very simple, structured outline as to how to write a research paper. It's really quite good. It's about 11 minutes long. This is part of your homework assignment. So I want you to watch that tutorial. You're going to need to read through all the material I'm giving you and then begin your paper. The video you're going to have for Thursday, which is going to be due on Friday, the video itself is a little shorter. It's only about 10 minutes long, but you're getting a lot of other stuff from me. So you're going to have plenty of work to do over the next couple of weeks. The final thing I want to punctuate with you guys is, on the syllabus I have a date whereby you can submit a rough draft for me to review. I highly, highly, highly recommend you give me a copy of that rough draft on that Tuesday so I could review your work and then get it back to you so that you could correct it and then submit a final draft. It is very important because otherwise you may stumble into a lot of red ink on your paper. The other thing is your writing must be your own. I don't, plagiarism is, I mean, that's an automatic F, and I'm going to figure that out real quick. I know a lot of the sources, and I figure out how a person's writing style develops rather rapidly. But I do encourage having someone edit your work. So ask a parent, a friend, another teacher. I had students in some of my classes in the past actually send previous teachers their papers for review before submitting it to me, so they knew it was tight and ready to be handed in for a grade. So I highly recommend get somebody to edit your stuff, your spelling, your grammar, all these things. So it's going to take some of you a little while to figure out the format, but once you do, you'll be fine, and you'll get it. Don't worry. But this first paper is going to be a bit of a grind for some of you because you've never done anything like this before. Don't worry, you're going to get through it. And grace and mercy will be extended to the noobs a bit in this whole ordeal. Questions, just send me a text, an email, whatever the case may be, and I'll try my best to help you with that. But this is your basic introduction to the term paper, and we're going to be doing one of these in marking period, so you got to get used to it. And we'll take the time to walk through it as needed. But this is what's going forward. So you're going to see an email coming from me. You're going to have a bunch of attachments. You're going to have to obviously watch this video, which will be in the email as a link. And then you'll also have another video to watch on YouTube with a tutorial about writing a research paper, which gives you structure when it comes to research and how to put your thoughts on paper. It's really quite good, even though the guy is like 1,000 years old. So anyway, I hope this helps, and you guys have a good weekend, and God bless you, and I will be talking to you more next week. Take care.